Alright, so here's what we're looking at. Operation Gideon's Chariots. Approved by Israel's Security Cabinet on May 4th, officially launched on May 16th. This isn't some haphazard campaign. It's a concentrated military effort aimed squarely at Hamas leadership and infrastructure in Gaza. Over 670 targets, Duke. 670 strikes in a matter of days. It's staggering.
Staggering? It's an all-out blitz. And, when you push that kind of firepower, collateral's inevitable. We're talking hospitals, civilian areas. That's the chaos of modern combat right there.
Yeah, the precision strikes are only as precise as the intelligence they're based on. But even then, Duke, it's impossible to surgically strike multiple targets at this scale without significant fallout. I mean, over 400 people have been killed so far, and that includes just confirmed numbers. Casualties overlooked because people are, literally, buried under rubble.
If you're rolling heavy with both air artillery and ground movements, fallout extends beyond your intel. It's not just about buildings collapsing, it's corridors, infrastructure, comm systems, all obliterated. Target something like a hospital, like the Indonesian hospital they hit, and you're forcing everyone downstream into total crisis.
I gotta say though, as calculated as this operation seems, it's hard not to reflect on the precision aspect. Back when I was deployed, the amount of planning, like pre-mission strategy, it's extensive. It almost makes you think, how meticulous are these execution decisions? Have they gone too broad? Strategically speaking, of course.
Meticulous or not, one thing's clear. They're hitting more than command posts. This is dismantling on both military and civilian levels. That's escalation, plain and simple. Look at Jabalia or Beit Lahia, hardest hit spot zones. No one's untouched there, no one.
Jabalia refugee camp, yeah. And, Duke, airstrikes are just one layer of this thing. Mobilizing troops, armored units. It's like we're staring down the barrel of a full-scale ground invasion. It feels like they're not just dismantling Hamas, but dismantling everything that keeps Gaza standing. Its infrastructure, its people.
Which is why this precision campaign narrative doesn't sit right. A hospital shut down, like the European Gaza hospital. They closed the only cancer treatment facility for the region. Look, I've deployed. I get tactical compounding, but you can't sell me this as surgical precision, not when the effects are carved into civilian survival, bro.
That's it exactly. These operations might start with a military directive, but the ripple effect extends far beyond Hamas. And the worst part, we're hardly scratching the surface of the human cost here. And that ripple effect we talked about, Duke, well, here it is, plain as day. Gaza civilians, once again, paying the brunt of it. The displacement numbers are staggering. Hundreds of thousands forced from their bombed-out homes. They're left to find refuge in overcrowded shelters and camps that almost collapse under the weight of desperation, you know?
Yeah, and let me tell you, I've seen displacement like this, firsthand. When families are crammed into tent cities or scrounging for basic needs, it's not just survival, it's total erosion of dignity. It hits hard, man.
It does, Duke. Because even if they survive the blasts, what are they left with? Overrun shelters, no clean water, rationed food. And then there's the medical blockade. Did you see what happened with the European Gaza hospital? They had to shut it down. The only cancer treatment center. Gone.
Yeah, I saw. And, Chukwuka, you know from ops experience, right? When hospitals are off the grid, everything downstream collapses. Treatable injuries become fatal. Disease outbreaks spike. It's chaos compounded on chaos.
Exactly. The UN's warning about famine now, saying the blockade on food, fuel, medicine, it's tightening by the day. We've got this like human time bomb in Gaza. These blockades, this suffocation of civilians, I mean, at what point do we call it what it is? A full-scale humanitarian disaster.
And there's no way for relief to cut through. I mean, think about it, Chuck. When supply lines are choked, the only flow that matters is the one imposing control. It's intentional. This isn't collateral. It's pressure targeting survival itself.
Intentional. That's the word. Everything feels deliberate here, and Duke, I just keep circling back to the people trapped beneath all of it. The families that could have found safety if there were corridors open. Right now, there's no refuge. There's absolutely none.
And it feeds distrust. Ceasefires don't hold when one side's starving and shelled out. Trust? That gets buried deeper than rubble in a camp like Jabalia.
Duke, after everything we just laid out, the blockade, the shelters collapsing, no way out, you'd think the ceasefire talks in Qatar would bring some hope, right? But here's the thing. They're still stuck in that same loop, focusing on surface-level solutions. It's the same negotiation theater that never touches the root grievances driving all of this.
Exactly. Both players aren't even close to trust on this field. Israel's hammering Gaza, while starters like Jabalia are still smoldering. Hamas, meanwhile, doubles down on standing ground in response. No common ground means no real truce, plain and simple.
And that's where President Trump's proposal comes into play, right? This freedom zone idea for Gaza. Look, I don't know what to say. On paper, it sounds ambitious, maybe even innovative. But in practicality, converting Gaza into like some experimental zone, it's naive at best.
Naive? Try risky. It's got zero buy-in unless every major player agrees to terms, which they won't. I mean, how are you establishing any kind of freedom in a zone that's been methodically cratered into survival mode? Logistics alone? Forget it.
Yeah, and it feels like we're ignoring what's most immediate, the humanitarian chokehold. While Trump's banking on long-game fixes, Gaza's neighborhoods, like Jabalia, collapse in the present moment. Beit Lahia? These areas are gutted, Duke. Shelters overflow. Bomb blasts keep coming. This isn't a zone people can rebuild in. Not yet.
It's rubble now. Rubble without closure. That's why outside solutions like Trump's hit a wall. They don't stop the immediate fires or disruption cycles. You've got famine warnings out of Gaza, ceasefires without humanitarian relief. They don't mean squat.
And the ripple of distrust, you know? It's not just the two forces on the ground. The UN steps in crying foul, while the rest of the international community argues over half measures and delays. Every second we debate, Duke, is another life lost, or, worse, forgotten in places like Jabalia refugee camp.
And we keep circling this no-win loop because objectives don't sync. One side wants dominance, the other survival. Truth's buried deep under all this machinery, political and literal.
But one thing is clear, Duke. We see, once again, why peace in this region feels impossible. The effects spiral down into a resounding human cost. No solution, no ceasefire, is real without acknowledging that first and foremost. For now, civilians and the humanitarian crisis they're living through tell the loudest truth here.
That's right. And honestly, Gaza's current state doesn't pause for armchair strategy or new zones. It's raw survival right now, and every step ahead has to reflect that grit. I don't see this ending clean, not with current momentum.
No, not clean at all. And on that note, we've laid out the facts, the strategies, and the fallout. It's heavy, Duke, but it's a conversation that's got to stay alive. Thanks for breaking it down with me today.
Always, man. Let's make sure folks don't tune this crisis out no matter how distant it feels to them. See you next loop.